All righty. Good morning, and thanks for having me here. So we're going to talk about ethics and business ethics in particular. Business is the most popular major in college. A lot of you will probably be business majors. Will probably take a 3-hour class in ethics, but we deal with ethics all the time, whether it's been at home, on your teams, in school. You have to deal with ethical issues right now, and of course in the workplace you'll have ethical issues as well. Now I handed out everybody a packet like this, and you know, in life when you're hit with an ethical issue, you're going to ask yourself questions. A lot of times you can only ask yourself the question. You don't have anybody to go to. It's like, is this legal? You know, is it fair to all the parties involved, whether it's, you know, your business partner, maybe shareholders, stakeholders in the company, and of course the bottom line, is this the right thing to do? A lot of times where you get snagged up is you'll make a short-term decision which will benefit you today, but it'll be at the cost of pretty much a long-term decision. Maybe you might lose business, you might wind up in jail. Anyway, so what we're going to do is I'm going to give you all about 4 minutes to read. I'm going to assign you all one of these projects here, one of these ethical dilemmas. And there's a sheet, about the third sheet in. It's kind of a guided list of questions like, number 1, what are the facts? Number 2, identify and define the ethical problem. Further down, number 6, how would you resolve the dilemma? So we'll wrap this up with 3 things. I'll just go around the room and I'll ask your team, what did you decide? Why did you decide it? And then the last thing we'll ask is, what do you think would happen next? Because we spend most of our lives trying to figure out what's going to happen next. But just as an example, if you look at number 14, it says here, it's an IT question, which I'm intimately familiar with. It says, a friend at my workplace asked to use my computer terminal, what's that? While I'm away from my desk. He works in the programming group, so why can't he use his own computer? Does he want to enter some data or run a program that he doesn't want linked to his ID? So how should I proceed? Well, pretty simply here, you know, all of y'all have been on your computer since you were born, and you know you're not going to let someone log in under your ID onto the network. There's things like user acceptance or acceptable usage agreements that you'll sign, which says, you know, I'm not going to look at inappropriate materials, I'm not going to watch the NFL channel, I'm not going to watch NASCAR, do these things while I'm on the company computer system, because they want you to be productive workers since they're paying you. So we all know we've signed these things. But this guy, if he comes in and he says, yeah, I'm from the programming department, I'm from IT, I want to get on your computer, well, you would just look at him basically and say, fine, I'll log off and let you have at it, assuming he's there for some reason. Typically, the only reason an IT person would come to your desk is because you put in a service ticket and you know he's there, and he's going to say, okay, well, and he'll even say, hey, log in for me, because he doesn't want to have anything to do with your password and stuff. So number 14 is kind of I just removed it from the pool. So I'm going to go around and sign out some numbers for you all to do. And we'll have about 4 minutes to take a look at them. So how about you all do number 13? How about you all take 12, 11, and 10, and 9.
I mean, there's no like policy on it, so not really anything wrong with it. Like, as long as she's managing her time and still doing what she needs to. Yeah. No biggie.
So is that your job?
So you do So your friend here says he's gonna quit cussing. But your boss says, your boss can fight you and you do not know the hours. But he's gonna give the job to this person. So it's kind of like,
No, once
the other 99.9% of our staff don't have. So that's really a piece of the diverse culture that we're looking for. Everybody can hopefully bring something to the table that's unique to them. Let's see, let's give anybody. Did I get you all? Okay, what number did you have?
We have 12.
Number 12. Tell us about 12.
My computer operator told me he noticed several personal letters consistent with the computer that I was responsible to manage. While we had no specific policies and against personal use of company facilities, I was concerned. I approached the letter writer to discuss the situation. She told me she'd written the letters on her own time to practice using our word processor. What should I do? We said that next time that she should maybe ask instead of just doing it, because while she did it on her own time, we were responsible for the computer.
Okay. So she says that the employee should ask. Anybody have some different idea about that? How about this line here? It says, while we had no specific policies then against the use of personal company facilities. Does that play in anybody's thinking on here? Yes, sir.
if it says that there's no rule against it, then I don't see why it's wrong. I still feel like you should ask about it first, just to make sure. Like, she shouldn't get in trouble for it, if she didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, if you're managing the device, you will know that every piece of output from that printer actually costs about 14 cents. And that you're on this contract with Xerox, they're gonna charge you if you're on a metered service, like 14 cents every time that thing spits out a piece of paper. So it's not like it's the other class, there's no such thing as a free lunch, there's no such thing as a free printout. And you know, if it's serious, if it's a really serious concern, even if it's a minor concern, you shouldn't really be using other people's stuff, you know. So I think that covers everybody. A couple of, oh, I'm sorry, you were so participatory. I thought that you had actually. So I apologize. Tell us, what number did you have?
New number 8, and it says, our company prides itself on the connect-based payment system, notifying employees is not tremendous job of clearly being served strong recognition. However, he's already paid at the top of the salary range for his job grade. And our company has too many people on grade 11, so we can't promote them.
If he's doing better than the people in grade 11, we would. That's one of the people in grade 11. That also creates a sense of people don't get secure in their jobs, so they feel like they have to position themselves to do better.
I like the way that. I like what you think. Anybody else? Anything else that you might add or disagree with on here? That is a good question. So now, what's your name? Matthew has taken this guy and swapped him with this person. Okay. What do you think would happen next? Let's start with you, Matthew. You made this managerial decision. What do you think will happen next?
I think it would light a fire in everybody to keep working hard and keep innovating because they don't see themselves as successful.
So you think this would be motivational? Well, for one person. How about the rest of the organization? What do you think might happen? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I feel like it'd be the same way, like what he said. Like the person who got moved down, they probably feel like, well, if he got moved up to replace me, if I did better, then I can move right back up to my spot. Or as people above him could try to work harder and move up even further.
Yeah, there are companies like Capital Holding, for instance, if you go work for them, they'll tell you up front, we have a 20-70-10 ratio. 20% of you will be top level performers, 70% of you keep the boat moving forward, and 10% of you will lose your job next year. And they'll just tell you that up front. And it's like, that's how they keep people motivated, and they also keep the workforce fresh. And in any kind of other bell curve situation, you know, you have your producers, your like really +6 standard deviations in this direction and -6 in this direction, and like everybody else. So So this could be a situation where like the corporate culture could say, hey, you know, at the end of the year, 10% of you will be looking for another job. That's if you're in that kind of environment, and maybe this is a family business, who knows what it is. But the thing is, a couple alternative thoughts for you to think of. Other forms of recognition. Maybe it is a situation where it's the end of the year and all the guys in the top and gals in the top level, maybe they're banging it out too. You know, there could be a spot bonus not related to the salary. Say, hey man, that was so good, here's $1,000. They could give them like, here, have another week off of vacation, or have 2 weeks off. It could be recognition time. Importantly, he could sit down with the boss and say, you know, let's negotiate this into next year's budget. You know, that if I deserve to be in there, let's make this happen. And also the boss could just sit down with him eye to eye and say, man, we want you here, we need you here. What will it take for us to keep you here? And again, that could form into the next year's negotiations. Your responses are fabulous. Anybody?
There's one credentials that she wouldn't get the job for the internship, but if they weren't, she probably still get it.
So it could have an adverse result. Yes? Yeah. And intern is a key word too, because you know you have an internship to learn, and the woman here was so forthright and upcoming. Yeah, she was on the team, but on the team you don't always do everything, and you contribute without her contributions. The team might have failed anyway. So I think that's the right thing to do. Not that I'm the judge of all things right and wrong, but I think that's a good thing. Okay, let's go to this table here. Tell us, what number did you have? All right. So what happened to number 13?
Meanwhile, my boss told me that he was just going to give me a new opportunity with money in our company because he was going to give it to a fellow employee. I think you should be stayed because they got the thing.
So meanwhile, the me here is very interesting. My boss told me that he wasn't going to give me a new opportunity in the company because he was going to give it to the fellow employee. So you think you should wait it out? All right. Just see what anybody else. What do you think would happen next? Yes, sir.
The other colleague or the other co-worker probably like quit, and then well, it depends if this position is better than this position is guaranteed. I think that's what it depends on. But like if this one's better, you'll probably stay there. The other guy would be upset.
It brings up some really good points. Like once you're out there, you've been trudging it out for like 5 or 6 or 10 years, and it says, I'm Bob's the guy. Your boss comes and says, Bob's the guy. Bob's gonna leave. So you're not the guy. You know, it's like, maybe in all reality, depending on your situation, whether you're not mortgage, kids, if you're free, you might consider looking for your next position because you're not the guy in their eyes. Just some hard life facts there. So anyway, let's take another one. Back there in the corner of the donut table.
What? We had 11.
11. Tell us what happened to number 11.
He was going to fire a whole bunch of people, and one of the employees he was going to fire was going to buy his daughter braces and new carpet for his house, and he only told one person, and he told him not to tell anybody, so he's debating whether or not I'm telling the employee he shouldn't do that. He's just going to get fired.
I think you should tell him.
But to clarify, boss tells me he's going to fire a bunch of people that who work for me, one of whom is this guy. So I'm like stuck in this vertical pinch.
I'd tell him.
So you would tell the guy who works for you.
Yeah.
Because if he's about to get fired, maybe. Yeah, I think he needs to know before he spends all this money. He's about to get fired, you know what I'm saying?
Okay. Anybody else? For or against this position?
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
I
Why not?
I think that would create problems in the company. And like, he's in charge of his own financial things. He thinks he needs a carpet.
No.
It's not my place to tell him whether or not he should.
I think this is very good because, remember, step one was what are the facts? So the fact that that guy's in the back carpet, or not, is not really related to what the boss of the company is deciding to do. Now also, you have, what's your name back there in the orange shirt?
Hayden.
Hayden? Okay, so you're working for, let's just call him Joe. So now you have a responsibility to Joe to follow out whatever Joe says. So I think probably you're in a position now, you know something that from this direction, he doesn't know from this direction, he might not even care. He might just say, our bottom line needs slashing, I don't care. You know, if nothing else, you could go to your upward boss and just say, hey, you know, just share this over coffee if you have a kind of relationship with him. You know, because you also have to watch out for your own hide, but in some kind of non-direct way, you know, you might say, does your health plan cover braces or something? I mean, I don't know, but I think that you're in a position here, since you do work for the company, this is a piece of confidential information that's come down, it's not really yours to share no matter how much you want to. You could be the next person being laid off.
I think it's dumb, but
Yeah,
it's like,
it didn't come from me.
yeah, hey, it's not me, but you know, you might get fired.
Yeah, and again, do these really have, you know, right answers or not? Is it legal? It's legal. Is it the right thing to do?
Yeah.
Probably.
More than.
Yeah, you know, so I'm also being devil's advocate because you move yourself like this. Let's do a couple more here. This table in the middle, which one is you?
We have number 7. So a customer asked for a product or service from us today. After telling him our price, he said he couldn't afford it. I know he could get it cheaper from a competitor. Should I tell him about the competitor or let him go without getting what he needs? What should I do? So, the fact is that it's too much money, and that we decided that we would tell him about our competitor and other options, because obviously he needs like the service or product if he's coming to buy it. So we might tell him like the disadvantages of it, because if it's cheaper, then there's probably less value to it. So we would let him know that, but we would tell him.
That's a good marketing-based answer, because what kind of providers are there? You know, if you're a company, there's usually like maybe 3 kinds of types of provider. You're either like the economy, you know, you're going to sell as many as you can at a really cheap price, or you're possibly the luxury provider. You sell 10 a year at a very high price, or it might be a value proposition, to where it's like most of the features for a really good price. You know, so somewhere in there. And I think by, you know, if you really are a customer-centric expert about the entire marketplace, yeah, you might say, well, the reason ours is more expensive because it's like 48% better and only 22% more price. You know, you can't stop them from going out and buying something somewhere else. You could also say, I don't know, you know, go out there and beat the deal if you can, but then they'll never come back and do business with you again. And it could be that by being so blatantly honest up front, again, taking a short-term hit, that longer term, you might actually develop a very long relationship with them because you were so honest. You know, and maybe they'll go to the second place and go, wow, you know, their price is cheaper, but their service stunk. And we just really can't afford their service. That's where they're making their money. So I think that's anybody else. What do you think would happen next, anybody? Everybody like the idea? Yeah. All right. Let's you have your job interview. Let's do more. How do we do a job interview after college? Be careful. We're doing, make sure if you promise that they will make sure that you deliver. Anyway, so the thing is, these are all very real types of situations. And you get older, and you've been out there for a while, and you've been doing things, you'll find out that, yeah, this stuff does happen. But basically, you know, can you sleep at night? Do you feel good with who you are? And you basically just need to do good and avoid evil. Stick with that, and you're probably down on the right trail. All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And we'll turn it back now to Mrs. Charney for the rest of the class. Thank you.